Hello everyone, thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you're having a good day, and today we're going to be talking all about the brand Glossier. If you're not familiar with this brand, it's the brand that sends everything out in a reusable bubble wrap bag, usually with a sticker with your order. Glossier is a fairly young brand, and the image of this brand, the first thing I think of is sort of what they're not. They're the opposite of the fully done up and filtered like Instagram makeup, you know, where everything's trying to get covered and smoothed out and perfected and practically look like an unreal face. Glossier is more about letting your skin show. Very lightweight makeup, light coverage products, enhancing your natural look type of products. They've got a lot of skincare. I'm going to address some of the skincare here in this video. And what kind of got me into it and really thinking about this brand again was the fact that my sister, when I did her top 5 products, a couple of them were from Glossier, and I ordered them and I loved them. And I was like, oh, there may be a lot more here. And there were also some things that I had tried when the brand was very new that I sort of rediscovered through my preparations for this video. But the creators of the brand actually also made the blog IntoTheGloss.com. You may be familiar with that. Very popular beauty blog. And just as far as like, how well does this fit for me? Because I'm a girl who really does like some coverage. I can enjoy that full face with the lashes on and the bold lip and all that. But I can definitely also enjoy this vibe, and even more so maybe enjoy some of the specific players in the line. When you think about a brand as a full like ensemble cast, you know, am I gonna love so much the way everything comes together with nothing else added in? I don't know, I think you're gonna see that it's a situation where I like certain things, and certain things are gonna just keep making their way into my makeup look, but maybe not every single thing all the time. But I wanna talk skincare for a moment. Actually, let's just talk fragrance right off the bat. I got my full size of the Glossier You fragrance. I love the fact that there's like a little thumbprint right here. So it really is the perfect fit in the hand when you spray it. But I love this fragrance. I got the sample with my last order and I thought, oh, I need that. I mean, I thought it just smelled so clean and fresh, and maybe a little hint of rose in it I was picking up on. This, I feel like this full size doesn't smell exactly like my sample. This seems a little more woodsy to me. Maybe just a little more spicy, but still light. There's still a clean quality that definitely comes through for me, but I still really like it, and I'm definitely glad I got that full size. Another thing I want to point out that I have really loved from when the brand was very young, and I rediscovered it more recently, it's their Moisturizing Moon Mask, okay? This is something you're going to put on and leave it there for like 20 minutes. It's sort of the consistency of a thick face cream, but you put it on, leave it on, it feels cooling. It really is a refreshing kind of moisture mask, and then after you rinse it off, the softness of the skin is so great. I just used it last night, and I mean, nothing beats the rinse off and then just feeling that plumped up, smooth, soft skin. So these two are kind of big faves, actually. Like, I really like these two things. Now, as far as some of the other skincare I'm trying right now, haven't tried this stuff long enough to give you like a major verdict on it and be like, oh, it works so well. I'm not sure. I'm just kind of working with it, and it will definitely require a follow-up. I got the Bubble Wrap Iron Lip Plumping Cream. Interesting packaging, how it's kind of like an aluminum can sort of design, but it's just going to come out of a normal pump. It says, after cleansing before moisturizing, use your ring finger and press into the area around the eyes and the lips. So I've been using that for a few days. I can't say I see anything really like abnormal about the way this feels. It feels kind of like a thin moisturizer, not super duper thick at all, but I'm going to continue working with that. I also got their trio of serums. Now, you can buy these individually or you can get them as the trio. I decided I'd just go for it because I've got my night serum that I always use, the Estee Lauder Advanced Night Repair, but I thought maybe for morning I can work these in. So it's the Super Pure, which is niacinamide and zinc. So this is about clear skin and refining the pores and stuff like that. So that's your lightest one. If you use these together, this one goes on first, they said. Then you put on Super Bounce, the hyaluronic acid and vitamin B5. So this one's about your moisture, and then Super Glow is the vitamin C and magnesium for, you know, the glowing skin, even skin, brightening up. So again, I've got all of those on right now. I've also put my Bobbi Brown Vitamin Enriched Face Base on top of that because somewhere along the line I blanked out and I didn't get like just one of their standard moisturizers. I know I've tried something called, I think it's their priming moisturizer in the past, just a real lightweight, easy cream, and what I'd probably be most interested in is the one in the tub. They're a little bit more heavy duty moisturizer, but I like I said, that's maybe a future order because I didn't think to get it. I'm also even wearing their Invisible Shield Daily Sunscreen SPF 35. I'm going to be experimenting with a few different sunscreens here in the coming weeks, and this one I do love the format. Like, I love how it's a lightweight gel. I like that I'm getting my SPF, but I'm not putting a lot of added weight on the skin with that. There's also not like any identifiable scent with that either, so I like it so far. It seems to be a good product. So that, my friends, is the skincare I am working with from Glossier. The Moon Mask, though, complete home run. Have enjoyed that for years, and also the fragrance I like a lot. Okay, so we got all that business out of the way. I got myself organized here. We're gonna use the coverage product. Use that word lightly, the Perfecting Skin Tint. I have it in the shade G9. This was one of those things that I used when the brand was very, very new, and I remember just like not being impressed at all, really expecting at least some coverage out of this. They classify this as a sheer coverage product, and I do think you have to be very clear on the claims of this to be satisfied. If you take the time to go to the website and read all about it, they will say that it's sheer, and if you want to get to the light to medium coverage range, you're gonna need to also pick up their stretch concealer and combine those two. Use both of them to reach a place where you feel like you've got a little bit more coverage. So very light, very skin-like. You should know that going in. I would say this is the lightest coverage thing that I own, okay? It's thin, thin, thin. You can see it coming out of this little dropper. And like I said, past me might have been, I don't know, a little more disappointed and just kind of not really knowing all about this brand going in at first, you know, being more new to me. But I'm very clear on the vibe and the purpose. And at this point, you know, it may not be my favorite thing, but I get it, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. So I'm gonna blend this in. I'm using my Real Techniques, my little RT Go brush that I love so much. You could use fingers for sure with this. But see what I'm getting? I'm getting a very sheer all over tint. You might say, well, Em, maybe build it up a little more. It didn't look like you put a whole lot on. Well, I guess I didn't put a whole lot on. To me, the texture of it is not greatly altering the way my skin felt going in. Like, it's not adding a whole heck of a lot of extra moisture, and that's fine. I was nicely prepped and moisturized before. I guess my point is that I don't rely on this to like be your tinted moisturizer, one and done moisturizer coverage in one step. And I think this could become a product with a little more purpose in my collection if it contained SPF. And not that you can't like pair it with SPF, but it seems like this would be a very sensible product to also contain the SPF because it's so light, so easy, so sheer, outdoorsy pool days kind of vibes. I don't know. Maybe they could create a version of this that had a little more moisture and some SPF, and it could be more of a one and done thing. Even if they wanted to maintain how sheer it is, maybe then it could serve a few more functions. But this is what we're looking at. You know, you're pretty much seeing through to my skin, except I feel like I do have a little overall tint from that. Now we're going to put on the concealer. This is the Stretch Concealer. I have it in G11. Little glass jar packaging, and I would say this feels creamy yet thin. So when I put my finger in it, I feel the moisture. You can probably see like the dewiness just right off the top of the product there. But I'm going to dab this around everywhere where I have some darkness or some discoloration. We're gonna take it right down the nose. They call it stretch concealer because it's not going to like sit on your skin and cake up. It's going to move with the skin, they say. And the texture is such that you don't feel like, okay, this is setting up real fast and it's gonna lock on in a certain way. I understand what they're saying, that it's kind of like light, even though it's coming out of this pot, and you might think that certain concealers like this would be thicker and just a little more heavy duty. This is on the sheer side, but it's definitely adding some coverage to the areas where we need it, adding some brightness. I feel really hydrated around the eye area. This concealer is not drying at all. It's gonna definitely put some more moisture back in. I'm gonna see if I can build it a little more though. I would say, yeah, if you're using the skin tint and then you pop this on, the combination of those two steps can take you to medium coverage. And you'll notice I'm not really buffing it in, I'm like tapping over it. That's all it takes to get it worked in. So again, an interesting texture where it's creamy. You feel that creaminess as you put your finger in, but yet it's kind of thin, but it does carry some moisture. I'm just adding a little bit more on the nose, just take away a little bit of redness I saw there. So now I'm feeling glowy. I'm feeling like the concealer did a lot, and I took the time to build it a little bit more than I had the last few times I've been playing with this, and I like that because it's still, you can build this concealer quite a bit and it's not gonna look heavy. So I'm actually a lot more content with this look now than I had been the other times I'd experimented. I also got their powder. G11 to G12 is the shade. I believe that's the lightest shade you can get. They've got a little mesh thing right here, but also the cap has like a sunken down area where when you twist that in, it's gonna cover it up and I think keep a lot of the powder from flying out, which is a smart design. So I'm gonna use this with my e.l.f. small tapered brush and pick up some of that. You will instantly get some if you dab down on the mesh, okay? Tap off some excess. And we're gonna set our under eye because like I said, it felt like we were very hydrated. I wanna take that hydration away. Not really, I want to feel like I've got a little bit better staying power and this isn't gonna like completely dry me out. I need this on the T-zone too to just give this any hope of lasting throughout the day. Not that I'm incredibly oily. There just doesn't feel like there's a lot on my skin, so I feel like, okay, I need some powder. And I feel like I'm in kind of a cloud. This is a super duper fine powder. What can I say about the texture? It's just the absolute lightest take on beige, and it feels kind of that smooth slip between the fingers if you're touching it. Again, very, very fine, can go very airborne if you like happen to get a little excess on your brush. But as you can see, I'm just pressing it into the T-zone, so like go somewhere powder. I don't want to just see you sitting on top of the skin, and I don't feel like I have that look, but I'm a little more mattified now, am I not? And something about that little added mattification on top of the skin tint and the concealer makes you feel like, okay, I've now truly stepped up the coverage and the skin looks a little more perfected. So 1, 2, 3, we did skin tint, we did stretch concealer, and we did powder, and this is the look we have. Now, is there a bronzer hiding on the website that I missed? I don't think I saw one, so I'm gonna use a little bit of my Hourglass Diffused Bronze Light and just get a little bit of this around the perimeter here. Just warm up my skin some. Maybe that's coming next for Glossier. But really, powders are not a big part of this line. Like the only powder, am I right? The only powder would be that loose powder that I just used. Like the fact that I'll be using a cream blush and a cream highlight, I mean, that's because that's what there was. It wasn't like I was choosing those over some powder options. That's just like, they're big into creams. And creams do end up looking more natural on the skin, so I get it. It fits the vibe. Next, we're gonna use our cloud paint, which you may remember from the video where I was using Pup's Favorites. I have it in Storm, and I really like this. I think this looks so natural, so pretty on the skin. And instead of like applying a dot of it to my face, I've kind of realized in past days that I like to get a little bit of it there on my hand. The color can be very strong, but yet it's amazing how it shears out and looks so natural. Move it around a little bit, get it thinned out just slightly, and then I pick up my Sephora Pro Mini Flawless Airbrush, and I like dabbing it on like that. I think that's the easiest way. Because as you saw, color's got some richness. That just feels easier to me putting it on, and look how natural. Rosy, but like real. Definitely a top product. I know it's very popular in their line. If you filter their stuff by bestsellers, Cloud Paint and the Boy Brow are way up there at the top. But look at how lovely that is. If you've tried this, what are your favorite shades? Again, this is Storm. Who can argue with the way that shears out? I love it. And look, I basically used up everything that was on my hand. Then I got their Halo Scope. I think that's the name of this, right? Dew Effect Highlighter. I thought it was called Halo Scope. This one's in the shade Quartz. They had a few different tones. So we're talking a twist up stick. This seemed to be like the lightest one. Get it on my finger there. You can see what kind of tone we're talking about. Light and pearly. And I'm just gonna work this in by dabbing it on top of the cheek. This has a very natural glowing look because this is not gonna be a brand that pops in a bunch of artificial looking shimmer and sparkle. You know, they're gonna want this to come off looking like skin. And you could apply this with a brush, but given the thickness of the texture here, this thickness, I just like using my finger to tap it in. And I think it's stunning, actually. It's kind of amazing how much better, I guess, I'm feeling about everything given the added concealer that I put on today. Like, I really hadn't built it up that much, and I think it makes a huge difference for my overall impression of the look, like just having that little bit more coverage. Okay, so see what we've done here? We've got that sheen. Oh, that looks so brightening, but not metallic, not like streak of product, you know? Get a little bit here on the Cupid's bow. It just has kind of a dewy freshness. I'd like to see a little bit of that coming onto the brow bone, actually. Really fun, really nice product. And this is a brand where, you know, you might find it easier to use tools with just the blending of this or the blending of the cloud paint or whatever. But in a lot of cases, you could bypass a lot of tools with this stuff and just use your fingers. Okay, now I'm gonna use my Soothing Face Mist Rose Water Spray. This was one of their OG products because, like, I remember when this came out and the masks and stuff, they had this. And this was one of my favorite setting sprays. And then I just kind of went through it. Time passed, I tried a bunch of others. Honestly, getting it again, it's probably one of the best smelling rose scents, I've got to say. Oh, it's so good. Get that on. Love, love, love that smell. It's like 15 bucks, I think pretty reasonably priced. If you've got any sort of powdery look remaining anywhere on the face, you know, it kind of helps make you look even more dewy. But look at the skin right now. And my under eyes don't feel like a tacky mess. I feel pretty even everywhere else. Slightly more dewy where I put the highlight, but everything else just feels kind of smooth and even. Okay. Now we're gonna use the Boy Brow, which I have had in my collection for some time. You've seen me use it, talk about it as an effective one-step brow for me. So I have it in brown. Tiny, tiny brush. We're talking like Benefit Gimme Brow. A lot of the brands have come out with something tiny brush style like this. And I just sweep it through. It's creamy color. It's not something where you're seeing a bunch of little fibers in it. The e.l.f. Wow Brow. Wow Brow, it's called. It does a similar job to this, but does have more like little fibers. But just look at one pass through, this brow compared to this brow. Like, for me, one who has a fairly full brow anyway, it does the job really fast. Okay, and I can feel the hold. Hold is not a concern. You're gonna use this and things are gonna stay where you put them. I appreciate that. And this was another one of Pup's top 5. Look at that, it's just so easy. It's a pigmented, rich cream with hold. And things like this tend to be kind of buildable. So if you go through your brow one time and you're like, it wasn't quite enough, you can go through it again and feel like you've actually built up, I don't know, the coverage of this product somewhat. It's interesting how this brand does so many things that are light and natural, but like, this brow product is very serious about creating a big, nice big brow for you. And if you want, you could totally use this as a second step if you wanted a little bit more, do they have a more precise brow fill-in? I want to say they do have some kind of pen. Got to double check that. But you could use any sort of pencil just to get things a little more filled and then use this as your last step because like I said, there's so much nice hold. Next up, we're going to do the eyes. I stuck with just the thing like I used in Pup's video, this Glossier Lid Star in the shade Fawn. I wanted to use it again today because this can be an opportunity for me to follow up. The staying power was awesome. Okay, I used it in that video, and you might recall, like earlier in the video, I cried because I missed Pup so much. Talking about Pup, my sister. And I pulled it together, went on with the makeup look, and then later that afternoon, I was editing those very clips together, and I come across the part where, oh, I'm crying, and I cry again, and I've got this on, and I mean, I was rubbing my eyes, I was crying, and it stayed. It stayed completely. So staying power on this, it does lock on. I did have this underneath. I'm not saying this made that happen because I really think it comes down to, is this going to be a product that's capable of setting? And it does. But I did use my Milani eyeshadow primer underneath, and I'm going to do that again just for good measure. Just a little bit because I can hardly squeeze any out anymore. It just keeps coming. I can't get over the skin. So this shade is just very soft, taupey shimmer. You can apply it straight from the doe foot if you want. You can blend it in with your finger. You can build it. You can sheer it out. Like, It's a pretty flexible little product, but I'm going for just this all over one shadow look kind of wash of color, mainly lid focused. It's just not very dark. But it's just, for as light as this color seems also, sometimes you might think, well, maybe I'll see better staying power out of something that's just darker because the simple tone of it will make its presence more obvious. But this little guy, it was still very much on there after that editing session. I thought that was cool. So right now, one application of this gives you a soft shimmer, kind of taupey gray look, and you can build it a little bit if you want. Add a little more and you'll see a little more shine, a little more intense shimmer. For me, this product is a like. It's not necessarily an, oh my god, this is the look I'm going for every day. It's just okay. I'm really impressed by the staying power, but still, I'm not compelled to make this part of the look daily, the way I feel about some of these other things. Now, I believe they sell an eyeliner too. I am just overloaded with eyeliners. I did not need to buy another one. And also, I was a little more hell-bent on figuring out their mascara called Lash Slick, and sometimes I find it easier to get a read on a mascara when I have no eyeliner on. So we're going to be using this today. I will do a little brightener in the lower inner rim with my ABH double-ended pencil here. Hang on. I just love what that does, widening out the eye. Always a good move. All right, so I'm going to curl my lashes and we're going to put this on. I have been playing with it. I noticed a little bit of flaking, actually. It was odd. I noticed it kind of early in the day, and I came up here and I was looking over the whole look and I thought, what is that? You know, and I was doing a very light look, very similar to this, and I thought it could only be the mascara. So I sort of dusted them away. It wasn't really a big deal, but it was definitely both eyes, some little flakes. The rest of the day, I didn't notice any more issue with that. So that was very odd. It seems like more of a late day problem that you might run into. And then I was paying close attention to it as I removed it. And when I take this off, I do see like the little ends, like if this was a tubing mascara, you see some of the particles of mascara sort of just coming right off on your cloth. But I also saw just some sort of melting down color as well. A true tubing mascara, you just see the bits come off in almost a rubbery way, like letting go from your lashes. And this, you know, I may have seen a bit of that, but again, I was seeing some color that was actually just dissolving. So it's a rubber brush. Sorry, didn't even mention that. Rubber brush, a little bit of a taper toward the tip, short bristles, and I got a really nice curl on my lashes going in. If you're new here, my lashes aren't amazing. They're not super thick. They don't like to hold curl. And I tend to like mascaras that can take them as far as they can possibly go. So like It Cosmetics Superhero builds the bulk really quick. This is doing a good job on length, I will say that. It doesn't seem to be making each lash super duper thick, but it's stretching them, giving them a little extra length for sure. When this first touches the lashes, it seems like incredibly natural and you're like, okay, it's one of those mascaras. But then you go back and like, you get a little more on the brush and it starts to build on itself. But again, the lashes maintain kind of a fine look. And I will say, other than the little bit of like flaking, the staying power of my look last time wasn't bad. Like I felt like I was still seeing highlighter, I was still seeing blush all day. I even one time popped some of that cloud paint on my lips and I thought it was a really pretty shade for that. But like I can see as I'm building this, some little fibers kind of attaching to the ends. And some mascaras you can flat out see that within the formula. Other times they're sneaky and they're hiding. And this is one where you can't really see them there. But if you look super close, as you apply it to the lashes, you can see them, and that may be where some of the flaking came from. I'm feeling like I'm sort of to a point over here on the left eye, like I just can't get it to build much more, and I'm not really happy with the finished result. Like I keep putting it on, but it's just not wanting to build anymore. It built a little. So yeah, mascaras are very, very individual. We know this. I mean, if I were going for a look that was this natural on the face and this natural on the eyes, I would love a really thick, full looking lash, and this doesn't quite give me that. You could have thicker lashes than me, you could have naturally curly lashes, I don't know, all kinds of things going for you, and maybe you end up loving this, but for me, not so much. Now we're gonna talk lips, where there's a lot of good things going on here. The Generation G, I've talked about this. This product actually kind of lives in my bathroom down there. I have it in the shade Like. It's a matte tinted lip balm. Okay, the lips look pillowy soft when you put it on. This has been a throw it on kind of product for me for a long time. I know I've talked about it here on my channel before, but maybe it hasn't gotten quite the amount of love that it should because, again, it lives more in the bathroom. And I use it when I'm like just late in the day, I need a little touch up. This, I got a different product from Buxom down there where it's just like, yeah, these are easy things to throw on. Look how pillowy the lips look with that. Love that berry color. So nice. Smells like roses a little bit softly. Really beautiful, beautiful product. So this is something, I've been meaning to try that in some other shades, but this is the color Like, and I love it. But I am gonna take that off so I can show you one of my other balm.coms, because in the video where I was doing Pups Look, I used the berry and I was over the moon with this. This has so much tint, it's beautiful, and the scent is incredible, and like it's just such a heavy duty hydrating lip balm, like super duper comfortable. I got the mint as well. You can customize your own trio of these on their website. There's even more scents past what I have, but I got the mint, which is just kind of cool and nice and colorless. And then I also got cherry, so I thought we could use cherry today and see what this shade looks like. Oh, that overwhelmingly fruity scent. My God, it's good. Okay. Sort of like cherry chapstick, but totally up a notch in sweetness. Look at this beautiful hint of red. I mean, they did such a good job tinting these different shades. The berry is so beautiful, and this one too. Like, how wearable and lovely is that? Just rosy lips, but not really trying too hard. I mean, that's the bottom line of this line, is not really trying too hard. You don't look like you've been slaving over yourself, but you end up looking better. I'm gonna say maybe a possible flaw in the mascara that made it flake a little bit. It's very quick drying. And if you notice that it's sort of drying on your lashes and you keep trying to build it, which I have, I don't think your next coat is adhering well enough to itself. And therefore, maybe you are gonna have some flakes because they weren't just like sweeping right on to something that was already somewhat creamy. It dried really quick. I did hot rollers yesterday and my hair's still kind of hanging in there a little bit with some of that vibe, but guys, I had a lot of fun with this look. I can't believe how much the addition of a little extra concealer really changes my opinion of how this look is coming off. Like, I feel so much better about the skin just building this a little, and I think you should feel totally free to do so because it's not a heavy concealer, even though it's coming out of a pot, and mentally you might think, ugh, like a lot of concealers I've tried like that are thicker and, you know, just a little more rich. This has some hydration and richness in that respect, but you can build it up, and you can wear something like this, which is again probably the lightest coverage thing that I own, and then add some of this to it and boom, like it's working for me. The powder I think was important for me to be satisfied with the look. I don't think I would need to use this particular powder all the time. I think I got a lot of good powders, even some lower cost ones, that can do that job of mattifying the under eye, sweeping over the T-zone. I mean, I'm talking Rimmel Stay Matte. My Catrice HD Baking and Setting Powder actually reminds me a lot of this texture, but Glossier did do a better job packaging it. So if you're going for Glossier and you really want to be using this stuff and you want to be very happy with it, I would say you need both this and the concealer. That's my opinion because I don't see much out of the skin tint alone. But individually, very impressive things. The cloud paint, I love. This highlighter, I think, is stunningly beautiful in the shade Quartz. The Boy Brow is a very effective one-step brow, although I think there's so many brands trying to come out with their own boy brow or their own gimme brow like Benefit has, and I think you can look to e.l.f. and maybe cut the cost a little bit there. I love their rose mist. I think that smells absolutely incredible. You heard me talk about their fragrance already. I think they're really good with fragrance, but knowing when to not put the fragrance in certain things as well. It's like, yeah, give me all the fragrance in the lip balms, give me all the fragrance in the face mist and the fragrance itself, but yeah, like keep it out of the concealer and the sunscreen and all that. I love, love, love the balm.com, and the Generation G I think is gorgeous. The eye stuff, the lid star, and the lash slick, I would pass on those. They're just not my favorites. I'm not saying everybody would have the experience I had, but I feel like I can do just as good and definitely better in those categories with other stuff that I got. So friends, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you learned a thing or two about Glossier. Again, I'm gonna keep working with some of those skincare things and keep you posted on how they do for me. But I would love your feedback about this line in the comments section, and I will see you again very soon. Bye.